How much did I spend this week? Let's take a look. Hi, I'm Dani, and I'm on a journey to become debt-free. In this video, I'll walk through my weekly expenses so we can see where my money went. Starting with the first transaction, on the 29th, I purchased some Bible study workbooks from a company called Valoria, and that came out to $105.70. Transaction number 2 was on the 30th. I went to the supermarket for groceries, and that came out to $71.06. And that was, both of those were on the credit card. The groceries, well, I'll get into that in a minute. On the 30th, I also sent out the book for our traveling book series that me and my sisters are doing. I sent the next book to my mom, and that's coded to personal, and it was $13.05, and that was on the credit card. On the 30th, I also made a payment to my student loans, and that was $721.79, and that was pulled out of my checking account. On the 31st, I made a purchase of a book on Amazon, and that was $10.41, and that was coded to personal. On the 31st, I stopped at the cafe to get coffee for me and my sisters. We got together that day and did some meal prepping. We prepped some different mixes and spices and that kind of thing, so I brought us all coffee. And that was $19.67. And the groceries that I got the day before were what I purchased for my contribution to that meal prep. Also on the 31st, I went and purchased some Sharpies for my sister. We used her Cricut to make labels for some of the items that we prepped, and the pens were, what were they called? They were smudging when we were trying to use them. So Sharpies actually worked really well. I ran and got a couple Sharpies for her. She paid me back, but they were $2.50, and her payback is coming up in a little bit. On February 1st, I purchased some toothpaste from Amazon, and so that's coded to toiletries, and it came out to $11.96. On the 1st, my Minecraft Realm subscription was paid, and that's coded to monthly subscriptions, and it was $7.99. And then here's where my sister paid me back for the pens, the $2.50. And then she also paid me back for some of the coffee. So that was $10.50. And then on the 5th, I went to breakfast with my sister and a friend of ours. And so that's coded to eat out, and it was $28. And then on the 5th, I also purchased a computer game from Steam. So it's coded to personal, and it was $15.99. And that was on the credit card. So my total expenses for this week comes out to $995.12. And of that, $286.33 is going to the credit card. All right, let's use this to update the budget trackers. All right, so I think the first one is student loans. Student loan debt. And that was $721.79. which leaves $121.72. Groceries was $71.06, which leaves $175.69. Eat out came out to $37.17, which leaves $27.63. Toiletries was $11.96, which leaves $75.60. Monthly subscriptions came out to $7.99, which leaves $28.32. Personal came out to $134.74, which leaves $66.09. All right, I don't think I included that one. I didn't. I'm just going to write it over here. $145.15, which leaves $55.68. And that's it for that tracking. But I did complete my January challenge, so I'm going to update that as well. For the challenge, I had $62 that was coming out. 28 of that is going to my personal spending, and $34 is going towards my student loans, which leaves $6 in this one. 40 here. And then in personal, it's increasing by $28, which brings the balance to $83.68. And student loans is increasing by $34, which brings the balance to $155.72. And that wraps up this week's expense tracking. It's always helpful to see where the money actually went and what I can adjust going into next week. What's one category that surprised you in your spending this week? For me, it was the amount of money that I spent on personal. I did not plan on some of those. Let me know in the comments. And remember, progress is progress, no matter how small. See you in the next video. Toodles.